You have frustrations with tropes like insta-lust because you're going to have that chemistry and zero emotional payoff.
We're Heather and Natalie, the romance rippers, romance addicts and authors. We're here to help you craft stories that leave your readers begging for more. This is the time to get that story out of your head and give book lovers the emotionally satisfying ships they crave. Now let's get to the heart of romance.
Left hand, so I can gesticulate with this hand and not clickety-clack all the way.
Hi guys, it's Heather.
And Natalie.
We're the Romance Rippers.
Welcome back. Today we're talking about the 3 steps to creating fantastic OTPs.
Or one true pairings.
This is what romance readers come for, and I think the ultimate goal of any romance writer.
I want to write romances where I have couples that people remember them. Like they remember their names. Like Rhysand and Feyre. They are iconic.
Yep. They are the one true pairing. They are one of the biggest ones out there right now. And as we've said over and over again, and we'll continue to say over and over again, the question that romance stories are trying to answer is, does true love exist? In order to play this out, we as romance authors create characters who become couples that fall in love and stay in love despite all odds being stacked against them.
As authors, if we do our job correctly in crafting characters and thus couples when they fall in love, as that OTP, it really can put you as a reader in a chokehold. That level of emotion and passion keeps readers coming back again and again to the same series, to rereading this potentially just the same book over and over again. It really can, I think, that couple can make it make or break whether or not a book has potentially a lifelong impact on a reader because of that connection. And again, answering the question of, does true love exist? And if you see it in these OTPs and you really resonate it with that, it's just a really good recipe for, I think, success as an author, especially if you are able to replicate it over and over again. And your readers know they can trust you with these couples.
If you can create your canon couple, your main couple to be the OTP,
yes,
is one of the easiest ways to get free advertising for your book. You're going to write this couple, and all of your readers' friends are going to hear about this because they're going to be like, well, you need to know about this. The gushing, the scenes, the fan art. I mean, the number of books or TV shows or movies that I have consumed because I saw one piece of fan art, a lot.
Yes. In this episode, we are going to be going over the 3 steps that are pretty basic in creating your own OTPs that create those passionate fans.
The first step to creating an OTP is suck your readers in with chemistry. And the fastest way to inject chemistry into your couple is through polarity. You take them and put them in situations where they can't escape each other and just emphasize how different they are.
Simple. It really is very simple.
Creating chemistry is incredibly simple.
Some really easy ways that you can use to create polarity with chemistry include having really masculine and feminine dynamics, very different personalities or temperaments, putting them on opposite sides. And this doesn't have to mean a war. It can be as simple as an issue that's important to both of them, making them of different social classes, or making them of different species, which we talked about a lot within our monster romance series this past October.
And this works especially well when you layer on multiple of these differences, when you create extra polarity through taking someone of a different temperament and adding on a social class, and then adding on they have a very different opinion about a social issue. So that oftentimes they're butting heads. And this doesn't necessarily mean they have to be enemies. It's an enemies to lovers thing. It just you need to create conflict for your characters, and you can emphasize conflict through chemistry. A little example we have here is a sunshine man and a grump woman have both volunteered to help rescue tigers who have been illegally taken from the jungle for private sale. The woman is a zoologist, and tigers are her life's work. The man is a rich playboy who's needing some good publicity after making some very public poor decisions. She hates that she has to work with him because she believes he doesn't care about anything. He's frustrated by her holier than thou attitude. Already, we're curious how these very different people are going to fall in love.
And rescue the tigers.
You've got the chemistry layered on there. There's right for conflict, there's right polarity.
You have stakes. The next step to creating the ultimate OTP is going to be building emotional intimacy. So we already know at this point that the characters have chemistry because of their strong polarity, but they don't necessarily have a reason to become a happily ever after couple yet. On top of that polarity, the emotional intimacy. So they actually are getting to know each other and getting to know the layers beneath that top veneer that I think all of us project ourselves with, and realizing maybe they're not as different as they originally thought when it comes to the things that truly matter to them, and make it possible for them to be able to build a life together and thus have a believable happily ever after.
That's why people are becoming more and more dissatisfied with a lot of romance novels that are being written more, and it's why you have frustrations with tropes like insta-lust, because you're going to have that chemistry and zero emotional payoff. You're not going to ever get an OTP without emotional vulnerability after the chemistry. Some ways to do this are well-received vulnerability, such as sharing about a challenging situation they've been through or hard feelings they're having about a current circumstance. Rituals, such as inside jokes, nicknames, calling each other at certain times every day, one teaching the other how to dance and it becoming their thing, learning to read each other's expressions so well they don't have to speak to communicate, stuff like that. That, those intimacy rituals kind of are the building blocks for a gentler, more loving relationship.
Multiple layers of small vulnerabilities.
And then you've got the microtropes. So there's only one bed, one protecting the other. And really anything of the hurt comfort variety is going to build this emotional intimacy because, again, vulnerability. Vulnerability is the name of the game with emotional intimacy building.
When you start seeing them be soft with each other, and really taking the time to get to know one another. Even if they don't necessarily realize that's what they're doing, it's often sometimes more instinctual.
The zoologist and the playboy find themselves separated from the rest of the tiger rescue group in the jungle. With only each other to rely on, they're forced to move past their bickering. During the night, they huddle close together for safety. The playboy opens up about how his mother died when he was little. The zoologist listens compassionately and gains a new understanding of him. Maybe he's not as shallow as she thought. He offers to take first watch so she can rest, but she tells him she's an insomniac who doesn't sleep well. He insists she rest anyway, and somehow his presence is enough that she finally can go to sleep, despite the challenging circumstances. Going forward, their caring and intimacy only grows as she remains mindful of his mother wound, and he makes sure he's nearby so she can sleep. So you keep the chemistry, but it starts to shift into something sustainable.
Like at this point in the story, usually going to still have spats. Still going to have those disagreements, potentially misunderstandings. But when you have that in contrast with them also slowly opening themselves up to the other, it's just so good. It's addictive.
It's very addictive because you want to know what's going to happen next. Is it going to be enough?
Or are we going to have a backslide? So the third and final step of creating a well-crafted OTP is keeping the stakes high. This is a place that a lot of authors can step into things that are a little potentially wrong for the story you have written up into this point. Sometimes there's that dissatisfaction as a reader with third act breakups that seemingly come out of nowhere. We have all read those books. Or a random cancer diagnosis. And it feels unnecessary and unearned. So it's finding that balance between keeping the stakes high and also delivering on what the story has been that you have actually written so far. What that means is for these specific characters, the specific couple, the threats against what matters to them, both together as a couple and also each other individually, those stakes are getting raised.
There needs to be situations happening not just to them, but because of these characters that have your readers screaming, crying, and throwing up. Their choices are part of what help those stakes rise. The harder one, the happily ever after, the more rabid your readers will be about that happily ever after. And again, we want to emphasize that this means within the context of your story. If you're writing a cozy little like coffee shop romance, don't throw in things that aren't needed, because your readers are going to just be expecting, well, it could mean that the landlord is raising the rent and you can't, the character might not be able to pay it and might have to move.
Not they are suddenly sworn blood enemies because their families have been, I don't know, assassinating each other for decades.
Bombs have been dropped on it. Like, we're not talking about that, but it needs to be proportionate to the genre you're writing, and it becomes addictive when you make sure that the stakes are what really matter to the characters. We don't want to trick our readers. We don't want to, or there's no awards being handed out for the most traumatic thing happening, especially if it's not warranted in your romance.
A couple examples of ways you can raise these stakes. Differences between the couple, which at some point in the story seem insignificant to them, and they become problematic again. It usually is, I would say, linked to it wasn't problematic. They just decided we're going to ignore that. Surprise, it's come back. You could also have an internal misbelief that one or both of your main characters have that they've been trying to, again, ignore continually. And it keeps popping up throughout the story, and it really rears its head and threatens to unravel everything or the world around them potentially. And this can include socio-political, other characters, nature, etc. It throws obstacles at them, and these obstacles that get thrown into their paths, it creates these opportunities for these characters to regularly react in ways that are actually self-sabotaging to their actual true greater desires and their desire for true love.
Again, like with everything else in the OTP land, you want to layer. The more stakes that are woven together in your characters and plot, the more interesting your book will be, and the more passionate your readers will be about the couple. When they satisfy that question, can true love prevail? After all, if they can make it work after everything, then the reader will feel a sense of hope that their own lives can work out that way too. With our example story, the zoologist and playboy, who have remained separated from the rest of the rescue party, must pool their knowledge and skills to not only survive the jungle, but also get the tigers back before it's too late. Throughout this, they realize they're falling in love, but it's constantly being tested. The world throws obstacles in their way, between incessant rain, scary animals, language barriers, and almost but not quite finding the tigers multiple times. When Playboy ignores zoologist's advice about crossing a river and they lose all of their precious equipment, her negative feelings about how he's spoiled and careless rise up again, and she wonders how she could have picked a loser to fall for. Her harsh reaction triggers his own misbelief about his abilities, and he's like, why am I with this uptight shrew? Can they work through this situation and grow even closer, or will it be their undoing?
Those are the high stakes we are talking about. Potentially, they will ruin their own happy ending.
Yeah, it's not about the lost equipment. Like, yeah, they might die in the jungle, but if they're going to die in the jungle, they could die in the jungle still in love.
Yeah.
But probably not, because their own misbeliefs are rearing their ugly heads and making them mean. These are the 3 easy steps for creating fantastic OTPs that your readers will happily go to war for: chemistry, emotional intimacy, and high stakes. If you take the time to carefully layer and entwine several things from each step, you're not only going to have a great couple, but you're going to have an incredibly satisfying and interesting romance story in general.
What are some of your favorite OTPs? We would love to hear about that down in the comments. Also, if you like looking at these 3 steps of, do you have a favorite moment from these things? We have also gone and created a little worksheet to make it really easy to remember these steps, to use as a reference as well. Sometimes when you are in the vibe of writing, pulling up a YouTube video is not always the best reference point, because you are going to get sucked into the pit of YouTube videos. But just check out our website for how you can get that free download, and we would love to see you there.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We're really happy to see you, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Bye. Thanks for joining us today. Like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe for more romance writing tips and tea on Thursdays. You can also find us on other socials at The Romance Rippers. And before you go, share one of your tried and true romance writing tips below. We'll see you soon.